Man, I'm on the chase now, leave me on my own. I got a chance to break now.
Welcome back to Grnd. I'm your host, Mike. Today's guest is a welder, fabricator, entrepreneur, and YouTuber. I'll go and let him introduce himself.
I'm Andrew, welder, fabricator by trade. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Thanks for coming on. So, welder, fabricator, was that straight out of high school something you did, or was there some steps in between that?
I did do it right after high school.
Okay.
At first, I was interested in becoming a mechanic, auto mechanic. And then I got into this off-road race shop, and they taught welding and fabrication, along with some mechanics work. And once I started just, bending metal and shaping it and creating my own stuff, my interest really took off with that.
Okay, so they're working with them is kind of what sprung that love for the metal side of things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in high school, you didn't take any programs or any classes that were geared towards that?
No, they didn't offer nothing like that.
They didn't offer anything like that?
I took auto mechanics in high school. That was it.
I think that's like the only real thing they offered.
They used to have like wood shop, but no.
They don't even offer that anymore, I don't think.
No.
So that's cool. So is that shop still around that you worked at, or are they?
Not anymore. It was just a race shop. It was this guy, and he raced desert racing, and he kind of just did his own little like schooling program. You didn't get any like college credit or anything.
I wasn't like a certified or anything.
Nah.
It was more just his liking of how things were.
Yeah. So he'd just bring in students. It was a smaller tuition than traditional trade schools. I was looking at like UTI, which was like 20-30 grand at the time, and this was only like a couple thousand. So
okay, so it was an alternative to going to like a UTI or one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did you work, or how long was that schooling or process that you were with that company?
It was 6 months.
Okay.
It was 6 months, and I finished, and then he ended up hiring me on, giving me a job.
Oh, so it was like schooling with a possibility of a job?
No, not really. I think he just, I don't know, he saw something in me and asked me to stay, and I ended up staying for like an additional like probably 4 years.
Oh, so most students don't.
No, they finish and then they go somewhere else.
Okay, so he obviously saw that you had some talent and wanted you for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. So you're there for 4 years.
Yep.
So what kind of give us a little timeline of what you did there, or things that you learned along the way while you were there?
It was in the desert racing industry. So I learned how to build roll cages, suspension components. I learned MIG welding, TIG welding, how to notch tubing, work a good amount of tools, band saws, tube benders, plasma cutters, stuff like that.
So you got basically an array of almost, it sounds like a lot of the tools that you use in like a welding or fabrication career, just from that one place. That's pretty good.
Yeah, more hand tools. I didn't do a whole lot with like milling or any machining really. It was more just, you start with raw sheets of metal and you just kind of shape the part you want.
Just make something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're there for 4 years. Was there a reason that you left that company?
I was getting older and wanted to make more money, so I just ended up finding a regular welding job.
So what that was the next step was a regular welding job. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so the next welding job I had was with a windmill company. We built large windmill blades, and I was one of their welders, one of their welder fabricators.
Did they install them to that company, or you guys just produced them?
No, it was like a new company. We were building prototypes, so they were designing this new revolutionary fucking windmill blade, and I was only with them for like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually haven't stayed with one company longer than 4 years.
Is there a reason for that? Is that the industry, or is that more personal choice?
No, not the industry. It was just personal choice. I usually do pretty well in all my jobs, and I get promoted, and then I ask for more money, and they don't want to give it to me. So I'm just like, okay, let me go explore some new options.
So I've said this to numerous people, and it seems to kind of be a general feeling is the days of staying at one company and being loyal to them, and the company being loyal to the employee is kind of done. Like they don't really promote as much as they used to within the company and give you money. it's more like you have to skip around. Is that kind of the same feeling you get? Like you almost kind of have to do that to move around to get up that ladder?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, especially, you know, if you're putting in work and they're promoting you, but not, you know, not paying you what you feel like you're worth, you know? Even if it's just $1 or 50 cents or something, give me something. You're putting more responsibility on me, you know, give me a little bit extra.
Yeah, I should have a little more on my plate. You know, giving me more on my plate, I should have a bigger plate.
Yeah, so, and they weren't willing to do it, so, yeah, I wouldn't explore
So most of the companies, so like, so it's not, if somebody was looking at getting into this career, it's not like that's the way it goes. Like there are long-term positions you can hold.
Yeah, no, being a welder is a good trade, you know, and there's so many different industries. It's not just automotive, you know, there's, you know, structural, aerospace, there's a bunch of different industries that involve welding. So yeah, I think it's a good industry. Maybe just the companies that I was with and that weren't the greatest, but
okay. So you were with the windmill company doing the prototype blades. You were there for, you said, 3 years?
Yeah.
And then what was the next move after that?
After that, I went and worked for Penske Truck Leasing, and they had a contract with the sheriff department, and I worked on police cars, and that was actually a fun job. I got to drive around police cars. It was pretty easy too. I just installed, you know, the partitions inside or the bumpers or the light bars. Like we're just basically building police cars.
Like basic installation on the outside components or inside components.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long were you with that company?
I was only there for like another 3 years.
Okay.
2 or
so
3
not
years.
not much fabrication or welding there?
No, none. No welding, no fabricating. It was kind of like total opposite. It was just they were paying me more, you know, than the last job. That's why I explored my option. It was there literally like almost $2 raise.
Okay.
Just switching from a different company.
Now, when you were there, not doing that welding and fabricating thing, was that something that you were like, man, I wish I could do this right now when you were working on those cars, or was that even in your mind?
No, because, you know, I'll never lose a skill. You know, I'll always have that talent. But it was a cool job. It was fun, you know. But the same thing ended up happening where I did well, and then they promoted me to quality control. And the same thing, I was like, okay, can I get, you know, a little bit more? And they're like, no. So once again, I did the same thing. And I was like, okay, no problem. And then secretly just started having interviews. You know, I'd call out sick, like, oh, I don't feel good, whatever.
Yeah.
And go have a job interview somewhere else. and then, yeah, I ended up finding another job somewhere else.
Now, was that back in the fabrication world?
Yeah. So after Penske, then I found another welding fabricating job in the oil industry.
Okay.
So I ended up getting a job at a company called Petroleum Solids Control in Signal Hill. And that was kind of a cool job too. I was the only welder fabricator for the company, a small company. Most of the guys there were technicians. You know, we was a tool rental company, but in the oil industry. And I was the only welder fabricator. And it was cool because I had my own shop and, you know.
Basically kind of ran your own business within the business, per se. I mean.
Yeah.
You know, kind of doing your own thing. So doing being in the oil industry, did you go out on some of like these platforms or islands or anything like that? You got to go out on some of those to do like on-site fixes? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of those. How was that?
It was cool. I didn't do any welding out in the field, but I would just assist the technicians in installing things that I had fabricated back at the shop.
So you have a better idea, kind of, or
yeah. So we would need something made, and I had to work on it at the shop, and then we'd load it all up, and then go install it at the customer's location, wherever that was. You know, it wasn't always on the platforms. Some of it was in like Bakersfield or just randomly,
like some like land rigs, some stuff like that.
Wherever there was a like drilling derricks, you know.
Yeah,
we would just
any memorable installs or things from that place?
I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, it was work. It's all work. It was cool. I worked with some cool guys there. It's just what ended up happening was the company started going down, and they had layoffs, and I got laid off.
Was it just the company, or was it the oil industry in general? Because I know the oil industry is ups and downs because I've experienced it.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was the whole industry, and then the company itself, because the company was small, and then it was something with the drilling for oil in California.
Mm-hmm. They paused it for a while.
Yeah, they paused it, so it really hurt that company, and then they just had layoffs.
Kind of
I wasn't the only one to get laid off, but I did get laid off.
Okay, so you got laid off from that company, and then what was the next step from there? Was that, I'm trying to remember the timelines. Was that going into your entrepreneurship? Is that where that lands?
Yeah. So right after that, then I started Sublime Fabrication.
So that's when you opened the shop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. How difficult was that? Just from the beginning of that.
Oh shit! I mean, it was tough. It's a lot, I've been a welder, fabricator, obviously, my whole life. Right after high school, never really studied business, but always had a business mentality. And then it started with Mikey's bar. I was helping a friend out, building some stuff. He kind of just hired me on the side. Didn't even think about starting a business at that point. It was just kind of helping a friend out. And then as the bar was being built and everything was getting modeled, and we were starting to place all the tables and all the stuff that I built, and all these vendors and people are coming in, like checking out the stuff, and people were liking it. And it was like, everyone's just like, dang, how do I get one? Can I get a table? Can I get this? Can I get that? And then it was just like, man, I should start something. And at that point too, I was on unemployment because I had got laid off. So I was just collecting unemployment, doing that little side job. And then, decided to just take the leap. And
so it was, almost just by coincidence, right? You just, talking to a buddy and got hired to asked to do some things, and then people liked him, and then you're like, hey, wait a minute, this actually could be lucrative. Might be able to do something with this.
Yeah. And it was fun, it was kind of like creating art in a way, starting with nothing, and people would just give me pictures of stuff they wanted, or would give me actual drawings, blueprints, and just do my best if I can make it.
So what kind of hiccups did you run into with the opening the business? So we can get into like the welding side of it too. Yeah. So I know there's stuff that if people are getting into welding, they might probably want to know, or like you could get some advice on. But like just right as at this point, like just the business wise, was there any snags in the beginning that were just like almost had you to the point where you're like, I just don't even want to do this anymore before you even got up and running?
No, not in the beginning. I mean, in the beginning, you're excited. You're like, you're pumped. You have all the energy, all the ambition. I was excited to do it and get it going. And obviously, throughout the years, I've been building my tools up, and I already had a lot of welding equipment and everything. So I had most of what I needed to get started.
So at this point, how many years in the fabrication, I guess, world would you say you had when you started Sublime?
So I started welding when I was like 18, 19, and then I started Sublime when I was like 28 or so.
Okay, so that's
good amount of years.
A good amount of years to collect some tools, and so you got some good experience on your belt as far as work-wise goes. So so that you knew how to work your way out of some issues when it comes to the actual fabrication side of things.
Yeah. And, being in the industry and being in that trade, you kind of know what you can do and what you can't do, And I wouldn't take on a job where it was just like way beyond me, And that's happened where a customer would be like, hey, we would like this made. And I'm just like, I don't have the tools to it, or I don't have the manpower or the knowledge or the skills to build that particular thing. And I would just be like, yeah, I can't do it. Sorry.
I guess that's probably some good advice to some listeners, that if don't get in over your head, especially if you don't have the tooling or the manpower. Yeah,
because it'll just end up hurting your reputation. You don't want to take on a job and it's make yourself look bad.
Subpar or not perform or not not give a finished product or anything. Okay, so going into that, you're good, and then what? Like I said, there's as far as the business side of it goes.
The business side, okay. So what I learned in that whole experience was that I don't like the service industry. I didn't realize at the time I was getting into the service industry. I thought I was just being a welder, just creating stuff. But no, you have a customer and you're dealing with what they want and to their specs, to their liking. And I realized that it was just difficult. People are so difficult to deal with. You know, they're so picky. And it was like, you know, I built this with my hands out of nothing. And you're complaining about this or that, little things. And it's like, you know, you got bills to pay. You know, you're trying to eat. And I was just by myself, you know. I didn't have any help or anything. So that was one thing I learned. And I was just like, I don't like this. If I had, I think, more knowledge going into it, I would have went more of a product route. Create a product and then sell a product rather than offer custom services. Because that's what I was doing. You know, what do you need? I can make it.
Yeah, so you're doing way more customization, just like you said, creating something from a drawing that they were giving you, like, this is what I want. Mm-hmm. And you were just creating that out of, you know. Yeah,
I mean, it's back and forth because I like that because it let me be creative. And it's not repetitious, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. But dealing with the people was kind of a pain. So, you know, there's pros and cons. It just, everyone's different. Yeah. And I learned what I liked and didn't like. So.
And I actually bought a table from him, so I kind of know what he's talking about, where if he has a product and somebody wants to buy it, you know, makes it maybe a little bit easier, because I love that table. I use it all the time. It's a great looking table. So
you weren't one of those picky customers that complained about anything?
No, it was perfect table.
Well, I had already made it, and then he wanted it, so I ended up selling it to him.
Right on.
Yeah. Which cool. I actually ended up doing that too. I sketched out a few designs of things that I liked, built them, and then I went to the Rose Bowl marketplace.
Yeah, I remember you were doing that.
And did a whole setup and paid for my spot and took orders and just sold the stuff right there. Or people were like, oh, you know, can I come back to you and give you this design? And it's like, yeah, you know, of course.
So that helped spread the word about obviously your company doing something like that. And it was good to have some product to sell on site, but then you're also there to drum up more business in the future, right?
Mm-hmm. That was my attempt at trying to create a product. Like, I designed this table. This is my table.
So this is already into that. You're already into Sublime Fabrication for a while before you started doing that, right? After you kind of learned that, I'm not so keen on the whole customer. Yeah,
that was probably like the second year in, because I did it for about 2.5 years. Okay. And then I was just like, I'm over it. I can't take it no more.
Yeah, I can totally understand. Sometimes with the customers, they want it done a certain way, but they don't understand the process that things have to get made. So that's kind of where I guess the clash could come sometimes, where it's like, I get what you're saying, but I physically can't do that with this material or how you want it done. Mm-hmm. But that's and just like, you know, they don't understand it, and you know that could be very difficult for on both sides, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, I was over it, so I stopped. You know. Which was like, you know, it's a hard pill to swallow. You know, you put a lot of time, energy, effort into something, and then it's like darn, you know.
So now, how would you take that experience? What hindsight? Well, not hindsight. At the end of it, what do you see that as? Just a learning, learning experience.
Yeah, majorly. You know, I try to be optimistic. So obviously, like I said, I didn't go to college. I didn't, you know, anything like that. So to me, this was kind of my learning experience, you know.
Education on the job.
Yeah, you know, I'm more of a hands-on learner anyways, so it's just better for me to just get into it and experience it. And that's how I took it. And I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot.
So I also know while you were doing Sublime, you started some other things that when you were at the shop. Yeah. When you were there. So I know you were doing the fabrication, and then you got into some other avenues. You want to talk about some of that?
Yeah. Okay. So while I was doing Sublime, I started learning about e-commerce and running online businesses, because I needed a website. You know, people wanted to see my stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you have a website?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, okay, I need a website. So I started learning about how to build a website. Now, and everything I did myself. I just would figure it out and learn it
Good old Google University.
Yeah, yep, Google and YouTube, you know. So I started learning about e-commerce and all the different forms of making money online, and then as Sublime kind of slowed down, I started a t-shirt brand,
Okay.
clothing brand, and got into drop shipping with or actually a print on demand, and started a website with that, and learned print on demand, learned email marketing, influencer marketing, all kinds of stuff like that. It was interesting.
So kind of more so along the lines of like the social media era, I guess you would say, of like selling things. Because before it was like, you know, knock on doors, then it was more email and phone call based, and now it's kind of more social media, influencer, that type of thing, right?
Yeah. You know, it just really opened my eyes, because the difference between an online business and then a brick and mortar business, you know, the brick and mortar, you're kind of, you know, you're somewhat, you know, confined to the community. You know, I mean, you can ship stuff, but my particular business was,
I'm sure shipping wasn't very easy.
well, yeah, and I did custom work. So, you know, I'm not going to have someone from out of state randomly hit me up to make something. You know, I just kind of deal with my community.
Yeah.
Where an online business, you could definitely hit your whole country or the whole world, you know, depending on, you know, how that business model works out. So it was just really like an eye opener. Like, dang, I can sell to, you know, hundreds of millions of people opposed to just my community.
Yeah, so just, you know, my surrounding area.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have the whole world you could technically reach out to and try to get them to purchase something.
Yeah, so that's why my interest in making money online really took off. And that's when I started the t-shirt deal. And that was cool. And once again, it was just a learning experience. And I realized that I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a fashion expert. But, you know, the way I set everything up and the way I did things, I think was cool. I think if I was better at that aspect of fashion, it could have maybe been better. But
the one thing that stood out to me when I talked to you about that before, when we were going through all that, is you were like, oh yeah, this is the contract that I had such and such sign. And I would just like, in my head, it was opening, because it was like, well, this dude's having people sign contracts, like,
yeah,
that's big time. Like, he's like a lawyer, like, you know, not like that, but he's like,
Yeah.
like that's like, I would never thought about that. Like, that's not something I would have thought of.
yeah.
Was that like, did you know right off the gate you needed to do that? Because I know that there's a lot of things doing what you were doing, which was kind of creating product for influencers, right? I guess we can kind of give a little bit of detail about the business.
Right. So, I did basically like fan merch. So I'd get an influencer who had over 100,000 followers. I did mainly like models, and I would put their image on merchandise, and then they would then market to their fans. You know, pretty simple business model.
So was that, so like I said about the whole contract thing, was that something out the gate you knew you needed to have them sign, or did someone say that, or was that just like a forethought?
I mean, it just kind of made sense to me. You need someone's consent to you know, use their image to profit off of. You know, you can't just, hey, let me have your image and start making money off it. Like, you need their consent. I don't want to get sued. It just kind of made sense to me.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, like I said, I literally, when we were talking about it, when you let me know, and like, I don't even remember how you approached it, but you were just like, oh, and here's the contract that I have them sign. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know, like I said, it just wasn't in my mind at that point to have that done. But I mean, it definitely made me think about some things, you know, which is like, oh, okay, like I get it. I knew exactly why you were doing it. It made total sense. You won't get sued.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they were happen to sell all this stuff and they, you know, they try to ask for more money, like, nope, you already,
Yep,
you know,
you already
you
agreed to
everything that we did. And it kind of holds them liable for promoting, you know, their things as well. Because I know you kind of had some of that in there where it's like they needed to do certain things.
Yep. Yeah. They had to promote it, you know, and represent the company as well. Do their shout outs or however, you know. And yeah, most of them, they did it. And most of the girls, I didn't even meet them. One was from Texas, one was from Arizona, one was from New Zealand, you know, just like all over. And I'd use, you know, DocuSign, send them the contract. They sign it with their phone, email it back to me. cool. Let's get started.
Right on.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. Like you said, you didn't have to meet them.
Nope, it was all online.
All online. Was there any phone calls, or was it mostly
you
just
know.
text and email type thing?
Mainly email, but I jumped on the phone a few times just to let them know they're dealing with a real person.
Not some random
Yeah.
bot that's
Yeah.
trying to just steal their images or anything.
Yeah. So it was cool.
So how long you did that for a little while, right?
Yeah, less than a year. I did it and it didn't really take off, and I didn't invest a whole lot into it. I didn't lose a lot of money. I made some money, but I kind of broke even, I guess.
Well, at this point, you're running two companies, right? You're doing Sublime and you're doing
Yeah.
that company.
Yeah, I was doing both. But like I said, it was like a learning experience. Everything was just like, I'd learn about one thing and it's like, dang, it would just blow my mind. And then I'd have an idea. I'm just always full of freaking ideas, even now today, it's like, it doesn't stop. And if I'm just interested, I just pursue it, and it's like, I don't go halfway with it. You can't go halfway, it's like, if you're going to do it, freaking do it.
Yeah. You're not going to know anything if you go halfway in and you don't fully try it. I mean, I think that's something I'm guilty of, is that I'll get interested in something and I'll start to do it, and then I'll run into like a few speed bumps and I'll kind of get frustrated with it and maybe not come out the way I like it or whatever it may be. And I'm like, this isn't for me, and I'll kind of turn away.
Yeah.
But you, it seems like it's like I'm going full bore until like it's to a point to where I'm okay with stopping because it just doesn't make sense to continue anymore.
Right. You just learn, you learn. Like I said, I'm not in the fashion industry. I didn't know anything really about it. And I would hire a few graphic designers to help me on designs and things like that. And yeah, it just didn't end up panning out the best way I wanted. So that's one thing I learned too. It's like, you kind of got to realize when it's time to just kind of pull the plug. If it's not working out, just stop.
I guess it's something you got to learn, right? Not to pull it too early, but not to drag it on too long to where you're, bleeding money and just miserable.
Yeah. For me, I really have to be passionate about it. I got to be really interested in it. If it just ends up being like busy work or whatever, and it's just like, why am I doing this? What's the point?
Yeah. So if you're
obviously I didn't get rich off it, I'm just still a normal guy, whatever. But it was just a learning experience.
So from there, is from doing that, working with those influencers, is that what got you kind of into the YouTube side of things?
Kind of. I just knew that people made a fair living off making YouTube videos and doing things, and it seemed interesting. I bought my Bronco just because I've always wanted one since high school, and I love camping and being out there and doing all that. And I figured I'd just document my experience, and that's all it really was. And once again, I learned how to edit videos, how to do all of that. I never took any classes or any formal training. I just started doing it. Just try it out. You learn. I just learned from experience, and some of them were okay and some were not. And I did it for about 6 months, and this was 2020. I started it, and I started in January with the YouTube stuff, and then did it all through the pandemic, and then I got furloughed from my job because I ended up getting a job.
Okay, yeah. So let's go back to that. So
okay.
you started the YouTube before you stopped. Oh no, did you start the YouTube before you started going back to work, or did you start it when you were already back at work?
Yeah, I started when I was already back at work.
So Sublime kind of you kind of closed the doors on that.
Well, no. Okay, so I basically slowed Sublime down. I was being very picky on the jobs. If it seemed like easy money, I took the job because I had already found a job, a full-time regular job, paying taxes, benefits, all that stuff. So I was being real picky and just doing side jobs pretty much. That's what Sublime ended up being, just like a side job.
Okay, so you still had the workspace, you still had the warehouse.
Yep, still had the warehouse, still had a full business license, still paid business taxes, but it was just a side business.
So you go to work, do your normal 9 to 5, and then it was, then you'd come home and,
Yep.
do some.
Grind out a project. Yep.
Okay, so that way, so you slowed it down. You're just kind of taking, basically only jobs you want to take at this point, because you don't have to take them, just
Right.
what you want to do.
Yep.
So as you're doing that, that's when you get started in the YouTube.
Yeah, and I was doing the T-shirt thing, so I was doing all three.
So you're doing all three of those things at the same time. Well,
Yeah.
4 technically, right? So you were
Well,
working.
no, that was before the YouTube.
Okay, so the T-shirt thing stopped before the YouTube.
Yeah.
Man, you had a lot of stuff going on at
Yeah,
one time.
dude. Yeah, nonstop, man.
Did
I was saying.
Did you sleep?
Yeah, a little bit.
Lived
Yeah.
off of coffee,
Coffee. Yeah.
coffee and energy drinks, or what?
Yeah.
Man.
So,
So
yeah.
all right, so you were. So after the T-shirt stopped is when the YouTube started, kind of, or like there was a gap between.
Yeah. Okay, so I stopped the T-shirt thing. It just wasn't working out.
I mean, you weren't passionate about
I was.
it. As
Yeah,
much.
the passion was kind of running out. The speed bumps I was hitting with the graphic design stuff wasn't working out, and I was just once again like, okay, it's time to pull the plug on this. And with that, I didn't go on full on business with that. That was just kind of like sole proprietorship type kind of thing. It was all under my social. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm kind of done. Then I moved on. Just focused on work. Slowly started shutting down Sublime as well. Went the legit route, shut it down all the way. And they were just kind of low key taking on side jobs. And then I got a job working for called Ocean Wide Repair. It's a ship repair company in the ports, and started as a welder. Didn't know anybody. I literally saw a banner out in front of their building looking for welders, and I was like, did a U-turn, walked in like, hey, I'm a welder, and
were you driving somewhere in particular, or was it just like you're just out driving?
Yeah, no, just driving, just driving.
Not even looking for a job at that point, like just
nope. Felt like, I think I need to get a job again, like, time to get back in the workforce, and then just saw that place. It was down the street from my shop, so I walked in, told them I'm a welder. They asked me to come back for a weld test. I killed it. They're like, all right, yeah, you can start. And then it actually worked out, because when I started as a welder, I was a casual, so I wasn't guaranteed 40 hours. So it was kind of just like hit and miss. When we're busy, we'll call you. I was like, all right, cool, because I was still pulling
you still had
side
jobs. Yeah, you still had jobs, so it wasn't a big deal that you weren't full time.
Nah, because some jobs I would pull, I would make more money in a shorter amount of time than working a full week there. And
Gotcha.
There were times where they wanted me to work, and I'm like, nope, I got a job. I got a project in my shop.
And they were okay with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
you could turn down work. As a casual, you could. Worked there. About 4 months later, they promoted me to shop manager. And then that's when it was full time, got my benefits, all of that stuff. Then I ended up working about a full year. That leaked into 2020. And then obviously the pandemic hit, 2020. And then I got furloughed. So towards the end of 2019 is when I bought the Bronco. And just because I wanted it for me, just something that I wanted. And then the January 2020 is when I started YouTube.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going to be building the truck. I bought it specifically for camping and off-roading and stuff like that.
Like overland, right? That's what they call them, like overland.
Yeah, for overlanding. And so I was just like, I'm just going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to start just filming everything I do. I'm going to do this anyways, regardless of YouTube. So might as well just give it a shot.
Document it, and, at least have somewhere you can go back and friends can look at.
Mm-hmm.
If it takes off, it takes off. It doesn't, it doesn't. It's fun. It's fun for me anyways.
Yeah. So I created a dedicated Instagram account just for the Bronco and for that.
Which is?
Copper Queen Bronco 94, something like that.
You don't know your own Instagram?
I've created quite a few.
we'll make sure we put that down in the description.
I got a few of them.
We'll put all your stuff down in the description.
Yeah,
like
but it was cool. So I entered the off-road Bronco community and just started interacting with a lot of Bronco owners. Ended up going to an actual Bronco meet. You know, it's just like any other scene, you know, any car scene.
So you're not joking when you dive into things, you full on dive into them.
Yeah.
You like immerse yourself within the Bronco world after you bought the Bronco.
Yeah. Not even realize it was like that, you know. But like people would message me, "Hey, we got this thing. Won't you come?" You know, they would send me flyers, and I'm like, "All right, you know, like, fuck it, let's go, let's see what it's about," you know. Because obviously, you know, we do the bike stuff, so it's like, let's go see what this is.
Yeah, go check it out. See what the differences are, and
then to my past, you know, I used to do the desert race stuff, so I was kind of familiar with, you know, the whole off-road scene. So yeah, it was cool.
So and now are you still making videos, or is that kind of on hold right now?
That's on hold. So what happened with that? I was furloughed, and basically, you know, the government was paying me to stay home. You know, that's what they were saying. You know, mandatory stay home. I was collecting unemployment, and so I was like, I'm gonna build my truck. I'm gonna go camping. I'm gonna document it. And then,
I mean, at this point, we're not supposed to be around anybody anyways. So,
right.
that, I mean, what perfect way to spend your time than to
social
go
distance.
camping.
Yeah, I mean, get out of Dodge. So I took off, and with the idea that I'm going back to my job, because they were like, "Oh yeah, you know, you're good. Don't worry, you'll get to come back as soon as things get better." Obviously, things never got better.
Yeah.
And then I got laid off, and that's when I was like, "Okay, shit." I need to do something.
What am I going to do now?
I don't have a job anymore. I shut my business down. I don't have clients. I have no income, and unemployment is going to run out.
Yeah.
You know? So the YouTube, I just stopped it. I just literally just stopped. Focused on priority.
Basically out of necessity at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a full-time business or anything. It wasn't lucrative. It wasn't anything that was like, that was going to feed you. So it was at that point, you're just like, okay, I gotta shut off some things to focus on what I need to focus on.
Yep.
So that leads us up to that. So what do you got going on now?
So I still work. So Oceanwide didn't call me back. They laid me off. I was just kind of doing some side hustles. I was working with Mikey, and then they called me back, and they brought me back as a safety officer, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so you're all safety now.
Yeah. For the company, for them.
Yeah.
And it's been 6 months now.
It's already been 6 months?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how's that going with the safety? Is that, I mean, you're out of the fabrication side again, right? You're just...
Yeah. No more welding, no more getting dirty. You know, it's cool. It's my first like office job, desk job. You know, I got a desk and a computer and all that kind of stuff, you know, so it's my first desk job, so it's kind of nice. I don't know. Welding and fabricating is my hobby, so you know I'm never gonna stop that. The shop is gone. I no longer have the shop. Moved out of the shop. Kept all my major tools, put them in storage, and I'm just working. You know, still go camping. You know, I still do that, but not working on the Bronco as much because all my tools are in storage. But yeah. So I'm just kind of dealing with that, and that's it.
So the future is still staying there, or time will tell?
No, I'm studying real estate, trying to make a transition. I don't know, it may be bad, but my perspective on working for companies is not very strong. I don't have much faith in working for companies. I've worked for companies that have gone bankrupt, and then it's like, there goes my job, you know, or where I'm at right now, you know, they say, oh, we got slow, sorry, we gotta let you go. You know, I feel like I'm just like a number there, you know.
And you're relying on somebody else,
yeah, basically
to make sure that you have work.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like leaning towards the real estate industry. One, I'm interested in it. You know, it's a good investment. It's just good, a good industry, I think. And you're your own boss. You know, you've got to go out there and grind and do it yourself. And that's what I do. It's what I've been doing. Yeah. You know, in many different industries, but I've learned a lot of different skills. So I think I can do it.
Well, the crazy thing is, if you look at kind of each step of the way in your like work career, besides like obviously the fabrication and welding aspect of things, but like the customer, relation type thing, the online promotion, it's kind of crazy because it all kind of lines up to where now you're saying you're going to do real estate. Like all that stuff was just a learning experience and teaching you for that end goal.
Yeah. Because even with Sublime, like I had to sell myself. I had to go to people's houses or job sites. I went to like construction job sites. I've had aerospace clients and building stuff for them, and I'd go in there and just sell myself.
And we're buying you more so than the product almost at that point.
Yeah, they're just believing that I can build what it is they need.
And then obviously going into real estate, that's kind of the same thing. They're trusting you to show them houses or push them in the right direction on certain things and or what their house is going to sell for and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's kind of crazy. I never thought about it like that. That's almost like everything was kind of a stepping stone.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. We'll see. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still in the learning process. I'm not an agent or anything yet. I'm still going through the schooling and the education part. But
I think me and you had kind of the same thought process when COVID hit. It was kind of one of those things where I was lucky enough to stay working. They deemed us essential to keep working. But I definitely didn't like how I saw things were happening as far as like how someone else can determine if I need to eat or not.
Yeah.
And in my head, it started making me think of like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like I want to be, the ultimate decider of whether I have that or not. I don't want to rely on, my boss's boss to make sure that I can do something.
Yeah. And, in all my jobs too, I would get promoted. I'd work hard, get promoted, ask for just a little bit more money, and I get shut down. And it's just like, dang, like I'm working hard for you guys, doing well. You promoted me, but you still don't want to pay me. Like that aspect of it too, I don't like. I don't like someone having the power of how much I get paid. Or it's like, if I want to take a day off or a weekend off or a week off, it's like I got to work a whole year to get 5 days off.
And then you're still looked at as a bad guy for doing it anyways.
Yeah, and I just don't like the corporate side of it. My experience is all the companies I've worked for personally, I'm just like, nah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where my entrepreneurial drive really, really comes in, and I that's why I aim for that route, and I just learned a lot,
And I also know at one point, because you were trying to get me into it, this had to have been 2 years ago, I think, is the stock market.
Stocks, yeah.
I know you were trying to kind of push me because you started and you were like, this is, you can do well with this if you learn it and everything. Are you still messing with it? I know we haven't talked about it in a while.
Yeah. I actually started investing in the stock market in 2020. January 2020, started with Robinhood with $100, and I just slowly kept contributing to the brokerage account, and I did well in 2020. I did good actually, and still to this day I still got it, still do it. I actually wake up early every day, catch the market opening. I listen to finance news pretty much every day that the market's open. Just listening to all these different companies and CEOs and all these people and how they handle their business with different things that are going on. It just kind of keeps me in the loop a little bit.
So obviously, if you've been doing it that long, you probably lost some money and you probably gained some money.
Yeah.
Was there any like memorable things where like you bought a stock and you thought it was going to do good and it just tanked and there was like
Yeah, I'm going through it right now. It sucks.
What stock was it?
Man, it's a couple.
Or I guess what industry? What industry are they in?
The tech industry.
Tech industry.
So yeah, I'm more into the tech stuff, reusable energy. I invested a lot in Tesla.
What's Tesla still doing? I know everything's down in the market right now. But
yeah, everything's down right now. Tesla's super down right now. I'm still positive, but it's way down from where I was. But that's just part of it, Once again, I just learned all the different aspects within how to make money in the stock market too. So. Day trading, swing trading, dividends, options. I just kind of learned all of it.
And what have you found that's been the best route for you?
I guess it depends on like your goal. So my goal isn't super long term. Some people start investing and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be investing for the next 5-10 years. Where I was kind of like more short term. I'm thinking like at least 1 year and just see where it goes. I was kind of using it as like kind of like a savings account in a way. So I went more of the better stocks, reliable companies that paid fair dividends, not no penny stocks that are super volatile, and just kind of slowly contributed. I'd sell some stuff on OfferUp and throw that to the brokerage account. If I ended up working overtime, had a couple extra $100,
throw that in there.
Throw that in there, and then it just kind of compiled, just started growing, and yeah, it's kind of crazy.
So that's something you're going to continue doing probably for a while.
Yeah, well, I'm building it up and growing it, and I want to eventually sell out to purchase a home.
No, so that's the goal with the stock market thing is build some wealth there to get the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. I guess that's a good way to do it. Probably better than just a savings account, especially if you make the right choices.
Yeah.
Obviously, the stock market's risky.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you know, you can lose a lot of money. But
yeah.
I would have never have, I guess, pictured to use that as a way to buy a house.
Yeah. Like I said, the money just kind of grows if you invest in good companies. And obviously, it doesn't happen in a couple months.
Yeah.
It took the whole 2020, and at the end of 2020, I was like, damn, I did pretty good, and I ended up pulling out my initial investment, and now I'm trading with all the profits I guess I made.
So now it's technically not all the money you put in is back into your account, and now you're just kind of not fun money, but just the money you've gained off of your initial investment.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. That's cool. Yeah, like I said, I've been doing more with the stock market lately and trying to learn more about it. I would have never thought about using it as like a savings account like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about your normal savings account, well, especially right now, it's like 0.04%, interest, which is like nothing. Like, you put $10,000 in a savings account, you're getting almost nothing, Where in the stock market, you put $10,000 in the stock market, even you got to pay good stocks, obviously. It can grow. Yeah. A lot more than what it will in a savings account. And that was my mentality of it. And then so I was just like.
Well, especially like a short-term goal like that, where it's if you like trying it for a year to see how it goes. I mean, if you lose, a little bit of money, you can pull it out and whatever you can keep pushing and make that money back, right?
Yeah. I mean, you pay taxes on it, keep that in mind, capital gain taxes. So, but, it's California, we pay taxes on everything.
Yeah, paying tax on the air we're breathing right now.
Yeah.
So let's start with the fabrication industry. Is there anything that you learned that you weren't necessarily taught or told, or just some information that you got along the way that you would pass to somebody that's trying to get into the trade?
I mean, I'm a big believer of doing what you're passionate about and some things that you're interested. If you're forcing yourself to do it, then you're probably going to hate it in like a couple years. You know what I mean?
So if you're just in it for the money, probably not be the right way to go.
Yeah, because it is hard work. Depending on the industry you're in, it is hard work. And I'll tell you, like, when I was a welder for Oceanwide, I still work for that company, but as a welder, that was probably the hardest welding job I've ever had.
Oh, really?
Ever. Yeah.
You've probably gotten to some confined spaces on the ships and stuff.
Yep. High up, way down low, all over the ships, carrying welders, getting burned. It's dark. It smells like oil. It was bad. And the type of welding we're doing was a dual shield flux core. And it's just a dirty, smoky weld. I didn't like it. I'm a TIG welder, so I like clean precision welding.
That's kind of the opposite.
Like the exact opposite. It was a tough job.
So so besides basically make sure you're passionate about it, any other advice for them?
Practice, a lot of practice. Go to trade school, learn, build some stuff, get creative. I don't know.
Stick with it.
If you like it, stick with it. Why not? Like I said, it's a hobby for me. I'm never gonna stop. I like being able to make stuff. It's kind of cool.
Well, it's definitely a good thing to be able to do, right? I mean,
yeah. all trades can be good. You know, it's good to know, you know, electrical work. You know, it'd be nice to know how to wire up a house or something. You know, I'm not an electrician. I don't even like touching electricity.
Yeah.
Or whatever, plumbing. You know, any trade can be good. I just chose welding.
And obviously, if you're still doing it to this day, it's obviously something you enjoy doing. You know,
Yeah.
It's still a passion.
Yeah.
Passion of yours. So, and then going into starting your own business or being an entrepreneur, is there any milestones that stick out in your head or anything that you would give someone advice on? They're just like, yeah, I'm dead set on starting this company. You know, is there advice that you'd give them?
Same kind of thing. You know, make sure you're passionate about it. Don't just do it for the money. Do some research. Make sure you're going to be legit. Don't get sued. You know, don't get hurt. You know, and then take a leap of faith. You know, you can't be all research and never start. You know, just get your hands dirty. You know, you don't have to go full bore 100%. You know, like, you know, depending on the business, but you don't need to go and buy a bunch of stuff to start the business. Start small. You know, take little chunks out, and then as you learn, then you keep adding. And that's kind of what I did. You know, like with the t-shirt business, like I didn't start a legit business. I didn't go get an LLC or anything like that. I started small. The contracts to me was just like common sense. It's like, you know, I'm using these people's images. I need to make sure that I don't get sued. And then, as it kind of developed and I learned, I was like, okay, I need a lot more. I needed a lot more marketing experience, graphic design experience. And I'm just like, I don't want to keep investing into this. So I stopped. But I learned.
Yeah. So it's not all for nothing. You know, you definitely learned a lot going through that.
Yeah. I think my biggest skill with that was learning email marketing.
Which is a very big thing still.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, each thing I've endured, I've learned some type of skill off of, you know. So I think I'm fairly well-rounded. I haven't really mastered anything, but I think I'm pretty well-rounded.
You're good at all, master of none.
Yeah.
whatever. That's really how I feel too. Is, you know, like I said, I don't dive in fully like you do, but for a lot of things. But I feel like I like to learn as much as I can about whatever I can, especially if it pertains to me.
Yeah.
Like if I want to do something, I want to learn everything. I want to do it all myself, which could also be a hindrance if you're trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's better to have, you know, maybe a partner or, you know, something like that going through things.
Yeah. Yep. That's a whole nother thing too. Partnership, you know, it's tricky. Like when I did have the shop, I had a buddy who was coaching welding. He had whatever certification where he was able to give out welding certifications for
it was
people.
like a teacher certification.
Yeah, something like that. And I was just like subleasing out of the back of my shop, letting him do his thing. And then he approached me and wanted to start an actual vocational welding school, you know, and wanted to partner up and all this and that. And me, you know, I'm driven. I'm like, let's do this. I started doing a bunch of research, this and that. And he just didn't show the type of drive, the right kind of drive. He's never owned a business. He's been a company man his whole career. So it was just, it didn't work out. And you got to kind of realize that if you're partnering up with somebody, make sure there's an actual partnership. You know, each person has a role and is doing their job.
Yeah.
And if you're not feeling it, start asking some questions or you know, back out of it.
Make sure or have our contract, you know, wherever it may be before you get started in it.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, it seems like be passionate.
Be passionate.
Right? Don't do it just for the money.
No.
I mean, I guess in that sense, the money will come if you are passionate about it, right? As long as you're smart and you make the right decisions, and you, I guess.
I wouldn't say that. No.
No.
No. The money won't come if you're passionate about it. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be business savvy. You gotta understand business. You know, you do.
Not necessarily like the money will come, but like I'm saying, don't do it for the money. Do it because you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know, and the money, if you are, you know, if you do the research and you bear down, do the hard work.
Yeah, it'll follow. Yeah.
The money should follow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if it doesn't, take a look back at what you're doing, or maybe, you just picked the wrong industry, the wrong time, or something like that.
Yeah, and life happens, things happen, so you just gotta learn to adjust. I think that's the biggest thing about being entrepreneurs, is knowing how to adjust to different scenarios, and just gotta take it, and adapt.
All right, any other words of wisdom?
That's it.
That's pretty solid. I mean, like I said, be passionate, don't chase the money.
No.
And
because there's so many ways to make money out there, You
be passionate, don't chase the money, and know when to pull the plug.
Yep.
And I think that's
know when to pull out. Yeah.
That's the perfect time to end this one. See you guys on the next one.